Hello, fellow gamers. I'm Gloryhound, and this is the very lovely DrGloryhogg. Oh, look at he's so cute. You like the chin pats? You like a little chin pat?
Who doesn't like a chin pat? Everybody likes a chin pat. Don't make it sound weird.
And hello to our chat today. It looks like we have Getting Jiggly with It and Petter in chat today. How are you all?
Moment for a small sip. So
Sorry.
You just got done streaming for extra credits, but
I did. My throat is like dry right now. So.
This is very impromptu because we've talked about this for about a week, but you just got your COVID booster like this morning at 7 a.m.
So it's now or nothing, everyone. It's now. You listen to the list now or nothing. There's nothing.
You're going to be dead in about 2 days.
It's like a
for
countdown.
The next 2 days.
The countdown timer started. They're like, and then it's like, you now have T minus 14 hours.
So I did mine last Thursday, and we separated it this time because last time we did them together, and we were both dying for about like 12 hours in bed, and our kid was
like,
useless.
Useless. You don't want the kid to take care of you.
Bring me some water, and you got like a third of a cup of water. You're like, thanks.
Just lets me know for the future that my child will not be taking care of me. Like I need a plan for a home to be set in place.
Yeah.
Hello, Nathaniel.
Much better off going into a nursing home of some sort, some type of assisted living, because that kid is used. I've never had somebody give me like a third of a cup of, like you're like, can I get a cup of water? She went to the store. She walked to the store, bought some Dixie cups, came back with the tiniest little like the little cup they give you whenever you rinse out your mouth at the dentist, and she's like, here you go. And you're
Here's
like,
your water.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks.
And it was like lukewarm, no ice, no straw, just like, here you go.
Let's see here. Did your
water.
shoulder heal up after all the patting yourself on your back? It did not. I'm going to the doctor, everyone. So
she went to the doctor yesterday.
I went to urgent care, went to the doctor yesterday just to get to a special sports orthopedic sort of doctor person. So it's still...
See, it's dead.
It's this one. It's
I'll
this
be
one
typing
right
because her arm is
And then
dead.
I got the shot in that one right there. So I can't see. I can't even really reach over to it. So it's not going to be good for my arms.
And then there was like holidays and all kinds of good stuff.
But we hope all of you are doing really well. Really well. Happy New Year to everybody.
And we've played 3 new games this year already, so that's pretty good. We
that
played
is good.
Dinosaur World.
Yes.
We played
Aqua Garden.
and then we played Final Girl.
That's right. Absolutely. Hello, Omar.
And
Hello.
I survived. I made it.
You did. I was very proud of you.
Hans the Butcher was no more. I will say that about like 15 minutes into the game, though, I was like, okay, so I've saved all the survivors, and she goes, all the victims.
Oh yeah, no, you need to
and
kill
you're like,
the bad guy.
You need to kill him. And I was like, oh, I thought I was supposed to just be saving the people and then getting out. I was like, save the people, get out, let the authorities handle it. But no, I was supposed to kill him.
No, you're the final girl, so you need to go in there and give him the whack. Just chop him.
I've always been the chaser, not the chasee, so that's not true.
That's not true. But the booster was not as bad as the second shot, says Nathaniel.
Yeah, I was sick probably longer, but I think I hurt more the first time. But I was still not feeling great after I got mine. I got mine, and it was like a 6-hour countdown, and then I was just like, I feel horrible.
And you're like, well.
Basically, that was when I watched 2 seasons of The Walking Dead. I caught up on almost all The Walking Dead like in one day by just watching it like this, just under a blanket.
You all aren't here to talk about all our
injuries
and
that's fair.
Crazy things happening. You're all here to hear our top 10 of 2021. Yeah,
woo! I'm curious to see how you put together your list. I went through every game that we played.
Okay.
And then I took all the games that I thought were really good, and I put them into the Pub Meeple ranking, and then I ranked them against each other.
Okay.
Right? And so I actually came across with 19 games, and then I ranked them against each other, and then it ranked it for me. And then I went and looked at the list to make sure that it felt like true to me, like authentic.
You went back to the list, and you're like, does this...
Well, I wanted to make sure it seemed accurate, right? Because it's always hard for like, what's your 7th? What's your 6th? I mean, they're so close. It was good. It was good.
As normal, my list is full of some randomness sometimes because I didn't know how I wanted to rank things. So it makes sense to me, okay? And just for clarification, because there was no clarification last year, this year we're not specifically doing Kickstarter games in general.
Right, these are just games we played last year. And all these games should have been released within the last year or so, or a major expansion.
Or a major expansion release last year.
Because if we found out about a game because of a major expansion and we played it live on our channel last year, we're going to count that too.
Yeah.
So they should all be fairly newer games. We're not going to talk about like Casserone or anything like that, or Carcassonne.
Yeah, I was going to say, you keep on...
Catan. We're not going to be talking about Catan.
You keep on wanting to call it casserole. It's not casserole. It's Carcassonne.
I was held in a French prison called Carcassonne.
So who do you want to start with?
So I wanted to start off because I always like when people do a bonus one, and I wanted to discuss this bonus one. I know.
Why did you start with a bonus one?
Well, because I wanted to go down and...
You told me no bonuses.
I did not say that. I want to do my 11th one, only because it barely missed out, and there's a reason why. And I don't like it when people go through their top 10 list, they go to their first one, and then they go, oh, and here's a bonus one. I'm like, well, I don't care now. I want to go to your favorites.
Well, it's good that I wrote down a bonus one as well.
Did you?
I did.
All right, so my bonus one is Shamans.
Oh, yes, casserole
Shamans.
France.
Shamans is my favorite.
Shamans?
It's
that's
my
your bonus.
11th. Yes, that's my bonus.
Your cherry on top?
The only reason why Shamans is a cooperative social deduction. I've already picked the thing. You got to click on it. It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there. Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right. Sorry for all the pointing.
Everyone. Sorry.
So Shamans is a newer game that came out. We got it from Germany, right? But it got released in the U.S., I think, finally. The Shamans is a very pretty game. It's a cooperative social deduction trick-taking game. So something like spades or hearts, something that you might be familiar with if you play a lot of card games. You are working to take tricks together, but you're also working against a potential, there's always a traitor in there somewhere. And so the traitor's trying to make it so they're trying to purposely make you lose, because then you can die, you can lose points.
Right.
While you're trying to deduce who that killer is, because there are ways to, by winning a trick, there are ways to get tokens that will let you actually kill the traitor.
Yes.
Or if you're the traitor, you can get them and just kill the good guys. So there's a lot of different...
It's a battle. It's a battle. It's a card game with a battle inside.
And it does have a board that you're going like towards the light or towards the dark. And so not only is it trick-taking, which is just fun by itself, it's got a cooperative nature. You have to play cards, so sometimes you look like you might be bad even though you're not, because you're like, I just don't have any blue cards. And there's all these different tricks that you want to take at the right times to get bonuses that can help you out the traitor or kill the survivors.
Hello, Beyond Dead. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, rules don't apply whenever we're doing our top 10 lists. Our top 10 lists are willy-nilly. Yeah, this was a really, really good game. And Petter says, I'm curious about this one. Social deduction, trick-taking sounds weird, although social deduction is generally a miss for me.
I like social deduction, but she typically is, and the reason why I didn't make it is because this is more of a party game, where all the other games on my list are very much more like either cooperative or competitive games, where this one's kind of a more free-flowing partier game, but it's not light necessarily.
Social deduction is a miss for you, then this maybe might not be the game for you, because it does revolve around social deduction, but it adds an extra level to any sort of trick-taking game, because you're not just playing the game to take tricks, you're playing the game to throw enemies off of you. You're trying to play the game in order to obtain things to possibly help you within the game. You're playing the game to, and then also, having the table talk around as well to go ahead and infiltrate certain things.
It's really fun whenever you're the bad guy or the good guy and you win. It
really does add an extra level to trick-taking that most trick-taking games don't have,
And it also has, you have to win multiple times. It's either good or bad. It's not just a one and done.
No, it's not one and done.
No, so you might be good one time and you'll get 3 points for winning. The next time you're bad, you'll get 2 points for winning or something. So you're trying to get to a certain amount of points, so you're going to play it multiple times.
Cody says, I personally just don't like social deduction games. Just so much lying and stress and saltiness.
I'm like 50% salt all the time, so that's fair.
Oh, that's
funny. But it's
funny.
pretty looking too.
It is really pretty. It is really pretty.
I liked all the different abilities that you can get by winning tricks and everything.
Has foil on it, the little pieces on here are foil. It looks really nice. The art is just gorgeous.
30mm punched cardboard made from the Casseron region of France.
This is a hidden gem, though. I think that this one here has not made enough rounds. So if you do like trick-taking and social deduction, you need to try this out, because it's just the perfect combination of those two.
I feel like this is definitely one of those games, too, that when you try to describe it to me, you're like, oh, it's a trick-taking game. You like those? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I do in general, but the way it played out was much better than I got the sell. So I feel like if you're even mildly interested because of our sell, it's worth checking out. Especially because it's probably a $30, $20 game. It's not a lot.
Yeah, no, it's not a lot. So Petter says, Doctor, we don't have to hear about how much you sweat in Arizona. It's -5 degrees here.
I've been wearing a sweater all day, and it's because it's 60-something. It was chilly.
Getting jiggly with it said, played Shamans. It was fun, but since we are primarily 2 players, it didn't work for us. 100%.
And that's why it didn't make it into the top 10 probably, is because I just know I'll play it a lot when I'm in a group, but I will never play it at home because it's got to be at least 3.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 to 5. It's a very specific group.
Social deduction games, you absolutely want to have as many players as possible, just because it keeps on adding exponential fun to a game.
Yeah.
So for my bonus game, which I'm going to need you to type in, is Brew. Brew by Pandasaurus Games. This game also was just a hidden gem for me. Like
this one got some decent press, or at least I feel like it did, but maybe that's because I follow Pandasaurus.
Went into this game thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be a cutesy whatever game, and then I quickly realized this is a hardcore strategic game that's cutthroat. It's cutthroat.
Burn the forest in order so your opponent can't take a spot.
Scorch your dice.
Literally.
So you may not go here because I am that angry. Like, this is like so hardcore. And I was not expecting that in such a game that has like all these cute little characters and cute little dice and cute little animals and stuff. Oh, hello, Ellen.
This is one
it has been forever.
I didn't feel like you would be super excited about this one, but then you ended up demoing it a couple times, and I think you really got to see it at different player counts and with different groups, and you really, really liked it.
Yeah. The only thing I have to say, getting jiggly with it, is the setup is a tiny bit tedious, but it's not bad. It's just a little tedious setting it up. But
it's not as tedious as, like, say, like a Dwellings
of Eldervale
or Ankh or something like that.
Not at all. But I thoroughly enjoyed the strategic gameplay on this game, and it was interesting, especially doing demos for this game, because watching how every group played this game was so interesting, because the hardcore strategic gamers went in there and were like really like battling it out. Every single little tiny point counted in this game.
Yeah, like I'm gonna put my dice to cover your dice so that you can't win this thing.
And then like the families went in there and they were like, oh, look at all these cute characters, and like it was so much more free flowing. So really, I really liked that this game could traverse this vastness of board gamers and be played in the same way, but however really you wanted it to feel.
Right, because when we played it with your mother and with our kid, it was pretty friendly up until like towards the end. And then it was like, okay, I'm scorching this, you can't go there, and then I'm covering your dice. And so you can really kind of play it however you want.
Yeah. So let's see here. Ellen says, I played this one at Dice Tower Retreat and loved it. Right? It's so good. So good. And just, it's so easy to teach, so simple to teach.
It's a solid game.
Yeah.
It didn't quite make it into my top 10, but it is a solid game.
It can't be tedious as Dinosaur World that we got. Yeah, no, it's not as tedious as that. So even though you know how I feel about attacking, it can be mean. It can. It just matters where you take it to. But this one was my biggest surprise.
Sometimes you have to take it to the limit. Take it to the limit.
That was our bonus games. All right, everybody. Hello, everybody coming in.
Did you want to do yours first or me?
I'll start with mine.
Okay. I'll be interested to see what, because we don't know each other's lists. I don't know what she put. I don't know.
I'll put my phone over it so you can see all mine.
The only crossover is that of course, we played the same games this year, unless she's played something with somebody that I didn't play.
We're missing like the announcer voice.
No, we're not. I never missed that.
Number 10. Number 10.
I don't miss that at all. You really love it, and I don't.
So much.
I just don't.
Number 10 for me was Micro Macro Crime City.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good game. Oh, my gosh. So excited. Can you pull it up for me, please?
Yeah, that one is a pain to pull up, though.
It's...
Because it's like, there it is.
Checkers. Wow, better. It was, again, it was such a fun surprise and such a great play and such a great family game. The only thing that I really feel like deters from it, and you need these little discs.
Right.
These little discs. Yeah.
Right. We talked about how that would help you follow the person along.
Right. So this is a game that you're playing with your family. It's like a Where's Waldo meets like a crime story.
But it's not necessarily kid friendly because you're finding murderers or like you might find.
You could still play with
or a burglar. You could. It depends on your family, though.
Right.
Just to be, it is a crime city.
Not gruesome.
But it is set up in that type of kid-style, Where's Waldo style game where there's the bunny, and then you're trying to follow the bunny all around to figure out who stole his money, at what point they stole his money, where they went after they stole his money, like that type of situation.
I love whoever posted this with the discs on it, too. Oh, hey, Greg. There you go. There you go. Greg's here for number 10.
No. Okay, if Greg came over to the house right now, I would let him announce the numbers.
Would you?
Yes.
That was really nice of me.
And I'd put on pants.
So if you have these little discs, you can actually place them down and follow the characters through this crime city, which I really, really loved. And then you figure out the crime of what's happening.
Magnifying glasses needed if you're old.
Very true.
Like me.
So much fun, though. It gets people off their feet. It gets people moving around. You're like looking at all the different scenery of things.
Trying to follow the people is difficult enough too, that it takes an adult to sometimes find stuff.
It is a challenge. Wait 30 minutes, says Greg. Okay, pause the stream.
I mean, I wouldn't turn you away if you showed up.
Oh, okay. So Petter says, I feel like I need to try this one. I'll suspect I'll like it. Yes, and they come with like a stack of cards, and so they're each individually wrapped in like, okay, this is this killer or this case you're trying to solve, and then they are gauged by how many stars they are. So how difficult. So you can start with something that is not difficult, and then you can move on to something that is more difficult.
And the storylines are pretty good too.
Interested in this game, you can actually go to Micro Macro, the website for this, and you can play a mini game of it on the website. And so if you like it, I really enjoyed that as well. You can go on there, play it, and you're like, oh, dang, I like this, and then go get the game.
Can I guess what your detractor is from this? The reason why people might not enjoy this?
The reason why people might not enjoy this?
No, can I guess?
Oh, and then why it was on my number 10. Go ahead.
I think because this made it into my pool, my qualifying pool, but it didn't make it into the top 10.
Yeah.
The only reason why is if you've got an only child or a kid that is a little bit on the like jealous side or something. Like my kid was like this over the table the whole time, and so
it's like, hold on, it's like this. It's like,
yeah. And I got hit in the head a couple times by her head, and it was extreme. You know, it's one of those things, kind of like something almost like Chronicles of Crime, where if you only got one device, one small device, then you got to pass the phone around, and you can't pass this around because it's a big map you unfold on your table.
Yeah.
So you do have to stand up over and look around. So that's the only detraction, is that it is kind of like an activity that you have to stand up, bend over, look around the table like you would with a magnifying glass, like you're looking for Where's Waldo or something like that. But
that was,
besides the kid headbutting me a bunch, it was good.
Yeah, that was the only reason why I ended up further down my list, is the fact that if you have people who are older and may not be able to stand up a lot, or that have can't see small things and stuff like that.
Yeah, vision impairment.
This will be harder for them to play, just in general.
And it is kind of one of those things that you can only play it. I mean, based off the game, it is a one-time use. It's a big map, and you've got multiple scenarios within that map, but you can only play it so many times, really, I guess.
I think that if you put it away, if you store it away for a while, because there's quite a few scenarios, as you can see over here.
You think that by the time you recycle around them, you forget most of it?
Because the maps are so big, and there's so much stuff happening in those little areas.
And you do have to answer questions at the end, like,
oh yeah,
who did it, where they went, why they did it. Mm-hmm. So there is that element to it. There is a deduction element to it.
Happy New Year, Starman. Yeah.
It's not just looking.
So that was my number 10. Doctor, what was your number 10?
I feel like this one will probably make it to your list, Radlands. Radlands with the super PVC cards. Like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not used to being allowed to do things. Usually I'm just supposed to sit here and look pretty. So Radlands is made by Roxley Games. It had kind of like the cool waterproof cards. You're playing in a post-apocalyptic world filled with punks, water shortages. It was just a lot of fun. It was a 2-player card dueling game where you're trying to set off like objectives, and like you'd set off like, say, a car filled with like nukes, and it's heading their way in like 3 turns, while you're also trying to recruit people and trying to use your buildings to do damage to their buildings and do all these different things. But it's a 2-person card battling game, and it was really stylized. It was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So that's what my number 10 is.
Nathaniel says, waiting on my copy.
Yeah, we got in our copy, and it looks even better. I mean, the prototype, we played the prototype on our channel, and it was good. So you can always, if you want to see more gameplay, we do have that in our list. But
absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. I really actually enjoyed it. It was a really good production. It felt like a really good, take this with you, 2-person game that you're going to play. And I think the only reason why I didn't make it maybe even farther is because it is limited by the player count, which 2 players is really important to us, especially with the last year and a half or so. But I like games that play well at 2 but can expand to 4, because we do play with a lot of couples.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we do have people over.
This one here I really, really loved.
In the past.
And it made it into my pool of games, but that was the thing for it, is it was 2-player. And did I have another 2-player? I think I went by some of them where I was like, okay, I can only make so many games on here. Certain player counts that I want to play, but the art in this was beautiful. I love the mechanics of this here. It was a really fun game to get down on the table, and just, it had like more than just like, okay, I'm just battling back and forth with you, you know, because you had to have, okay, I want to try to go for like my defense and make like a defensive thing here, and you can do that based off of those initial cards that you end up selecting for your area, you know?
Yeah, and it is very much so you got to set yourself up on your turn while trying to sneak stuff in onto your opponents, like damaging onto their buildings.
And so you're not playing the same game every time because of that.
Yeah, and your back row is always different every time. The buildings that you get.
The buildings that you get are huge, and that sometimes will make how you play the game different because of that. So you're like, okay, well, these cards are set up for me to play more defensively, so I'll play this way. And so that always makes it really interesting.
Right, because there are a lot of cards in there. You're like, I can nuke one of your buildings, but then I got to flip one of mine too. And so there's very much a trade thing. And it usually ends with somebody being down to like, I've got one building left, and the other person's like, you end up winning at that last second. But it is a 15 to 30 minute card game.
Petter says Gloryhound's list 1 to 2 player game rests solo.
Yeah,
so like the rest of mine are all just solo games.
And
Sorry,
I like
Doctor.
the idea of making a Bradlands variant where it's just Brad Pitt's face on all of them.
There you go. That would work out really well. I like that as well.
I think you'd be a fan of that for sure. It depends on which movie he's in.
I think a lot of people would be a fan of that. So, number 9. Greg? Okay, we heard it.
I didn't hear it. He's yelling it from his car. Number 9.
Number 9.
If he calls me, I'll play now. Don't call me. I'm using my phone for my list. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is actually a solo game that we played on our channel that I enjoyed so much.
Petter was right.
It was
all solo
the
games.
Rat Catcher.
The Rat Catcher.
So awesome. I love the Rat Catcher. You're the Rat Catcher and you're winding your way through the streets and you're trying to vanquish all of these rats, not just little tiny rats, but also you're trying to vanquish these big bad rats that end up coming across.
The really unique rats, right? Because what are they called?
Yes.
They're not special rats, but they are.
Look at all of them.
Look at all these
little ratties. They're so cute.
Yeah, they are intense. It's a really interesting puzzle game because the more you explore, the more rats you uncover, but also the more cheese.
Such an overwhelming game, which I love because it builds the intensity with all the rats coming in, and you visually see that, and you
got bitey rats, fast rats, big rats, breeder rats.
Yeah, start getting that like anticipation and like feeling in your stomach. You're like, oh my gosh, like this got intense really, really fast. Like it is super intense, and then you clear them away, and you're like, oh thank goodness, and then like something else pops up and. It's that constant like up and down that made this solo game so intense and so much fun. Like I had so much fun playing this game, everyone.
That's fair.
I don't think you understand how much fun I had playing this game.
Is good. It's one of the few solo games that we'll probably end up keeping.
I played the game solo several times. I watched other people play the game solo. I showed other people how to play the game. So like
I mean, you showed me how to play it, but
very intense. I had the kid play it too and everything. Like it was
did you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm about this game. This is super cute. The Ratlands, yeah. The combination of the two. You play the Ratlands. Hello, Dale. Thanks so much for stopping by. And control those rats to save the cheese pizza. That's right. You got to save that cheese. That magical cheese.
It was a nice Kickstarter. It was a smaller company, so it was kind of good to get them to blow up a little bit over this game. I'm glad that it succeeded.
Yeah, they did. For this being a company, and I think this was their first one, was it?
I think so, and it's out of Australia.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park. They knocked it out of the park with the trays. They knocked it out of the park with the art, the grittiness of the art.
Yeah, because as you kill rats, you can then turn those rats in to get other powers, and then every rat catcher has its own set of powers, its own set of traps, its own set of abilities.
They just did a fantastic job with this. It was so much fun.
Ooh, that's a bad rat situation right there.
You have to play you have to get Master Splinter at the end.
So those are the black rats that can breed. So it's like if you get one, you spawn another rat. Which if you spawn another black rat, then you spawn another one. Then you spawn another. And you can see sometimes random is random.
But you do have super powered rats that you do end up fighting. You have boss rats, and then you have the unique rats that you end up fighting. So you can find unique rats along the way. And then the boss rats are an overall rat that happens throughout the game. Which is like an overall thing that starts happening throughout the game. And if the rats eat the magical cheese, then it goes to the boss rat and then he spawns. So like it was very video game-ish with how that operates, you know? I was really impressed by this game. It was fantastic, everyone. If you haven't seen it, at least look at it, especially if you're interested in solo games, because I just had so much fun with it.
Yeah, I'm actually curious now how many of these we actually have a playthrough of. Because we have a playthrough of this also, don't we? We do.
Yeah, we do have a playthrough of this as well.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
Probably
Doctor.
a lot of them. Probably a lot of them.
Number 9.
So my number 9 is Path of Light and Shadow. Ooh. So this one actually went to Kickstarter last year with an expansion, which is how we heard about it, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't have heard about it. There it is. And so we got the expansion, we played it on our channel, which added some more cards and everything. But essentially, this is an area control deck building game.
Yes.
Where you're recruiting different workers, different people to your hand, to your deck. You've got a tableau in front of you that you can build up differently, which has a very civilization aspect to it, where you can make it so you can build things easier, you can make it so you recruit people easier, make it so you can attack people better, make it so that you do less damage or more damage to the different buildings, and then you're trying to control these areas. So it takes deck building, which I enjoy, and it mixes in with area control, and it made it like a really unique experience. And it had cool little gray castle pieces that you build up and everything. So that was really nice on it. And the expansion gave you just kind of a variety of different ways to go.
Yeah.
And I think I liked the original content the best, but this gave you some other additional options that you can kind of mix and match in, which was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, excuse me, as far as deck building games go,
they're the best.
I'm not always super excited to play deck building games.
Because I'm wrong.
Because I feel like some of them get trapped in a very like simplistic sort of...
This is the best card type of situation?
Or like this is the best way to do this, or these are the best cards that you want to get, that sort of thing. And with
Get all these blue cards.
Yeah, with Path of Light and Shadow, you have an area control system that is built on top of that makes sense and it works well. And because of that... and you fighting over the towers and everything like that, it creates more of like a Tyrants of the Underdark feel.
Okay.
You know,
which is another really good area control.
Right, area control with deck building and stuff like that. So you have more of like that feel to this game, and having the visual actual like towers go up, and then like if you attack them, they get knocked down some, so then like that place is more vulnerable. But you've taken it over. Like, I thought that was really, really interesting.
And it doesn't reward you, like you said, for just being like, oh, get all these blue cards, or oh, get all these black cards, or oh, get all the red clan, or whatever. Yeah. You kind of want to mix and match, and you've got to balance, right? Because you got to balance your tableau, you've got to balance the cards you have in your deck, and you've got to use those to balance not only your tableau, but also to balance your area control on the board. So there's multiple things you're trying to do. And you get to directly battle each other, too.
And you have the light and the dark shadow stuff that you're going for as well.
That's true.
Like,
you can go dark or light.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So, like, hello, Battle Cry and Razor Girl. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. And Dale says, I was thinking of Tyrants of the Underdark, and now I'm going to have to try this one. If you
I would
like
definitely check it out.
Try this one. Because they're similar.
But very different.
But they're very different. I feel like this one is more like point salad-ish. Like you can get points from your towers, you get points for your cards, you get points from light and dark shadow stuff. You get points here and there for things, but like the premises of the game with the deck building and then trying to take over the territories is the same. So it does have that feel to it. I liked it a lot.
No, I agree.
I liked it a lot.
Once again, this is one that you can find on our channel. It's just sitting there.
It's just sitting on our channel.
It's just sitting there. You can watch it
waiting to be watched by all of you for free.
For free.
All right.
Path of Light and Shadow, which is good because I knew I liked it, but I wasn't sure where it fell into my list. So I feel like this falls into like the right spot.
Number 8.
Oh, you're on your number 8. So fancy.
We have Vampire the Masquerade Heritage. Everyone.
The longest thing I got to type in there ever.
Everyone. Vampire the Masquerade Heritage.
Woo.
Again.
Okay.
Hidden gem in the rough here. This is a legacy style game, okay?
And it is area control.
It is area control.
You are upgrading their deck.
There we go. Grace like, and now number 8.
A vampire game? What? How many vampire games do you have on your list? 7?
What? No, I tried not to pick too many vampire games.
Just all of them.
First off, this has fantastic art in it, but like that's not like the huge thing of it. Like the art is amazing.
I recruited her solely because she looked like a BA.
This game evolves as you play it, not just in the fact that you're actually evolving the cards. So if you embrace a vampire and like you have a chance to go ahead and make this a vampire that you can like add to your coterie.
Yeah, you can turn a person into a vampire and stuff.
Absolutely. As you're going. So you can have like all these retainers that you're making and stuff like that. And then at the end of each of those rounds or each of those games, you get to choose who you may want to embrace or what you might want to upgrade and stuff. And keep around as a leader and stuff. Yeah. And then after you play 3 times on a particular board, the center board changes and what you're actually doing in the game changes because this is over time. So like you're playing this game time Time is on your side. Not that type of time.
That's more with the angels.
This is 2 games that I can blame you guys for me getting. Yes.
You're going to probably blame us for a lot because it's just going to be like our favorite games.
Yes.
That's kind of how this list is working, Petter.
It's such a fun game to play. And as I'm looking at it and the mechanics, I'm like, this is really just like a deck building game. But like it seems... The area
control is real important though.
Yeah, but it seems so intense and it seems so like personal and it seems so
and I remember having
intriguing as you're playing.
Stories where I'm like, oh, it's Ale, you know, it's like Ale the Huntress, and like I'm like, remember recruiting her, and then like you killed her, and I got like really mad, and I like, well, I took revenge out on one of your people, and the only regret I have about this one is since it is a legacy style game, we just haven't touched it again, and it's been like 3 or 4 months, and so now I'm like, oh, I'd have to refresh myself.
Yeah, but I really loved what they did here with this game, and you still get a little bit of this vampire intrigue put into it, and your game changes as you go with the different boards, but you still have like this, I don't know, I can't really explain 100% why I like this so much. It just has a really good like feeling to it, and I had a lot of fun playing it, you know, and I know it's a legacy game, and eventually we'll get to the end, and it'll be all over. But it was just so much fun playing through this game and having the struggles and the back and forth with things and stuff. Like, this is a game I would buy again to play with more people.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I felt like that with some of the legacy games we played, like Clank Legacy.
Yeah, we went through it with 2 players, and I would love to play this with more players. Like, this is so good. So is this a methadone fix for role players that used to play Masquerade? So
no, not quite. That game's coming out.
Yes, that game is coming out, actually,
Chapters.
Razor Girl. That is
going to be that one.
Vampire the Masquerade Chapters, which is probably going to be the closest thing you can get to a board game being part of the Vampire the Masquerade sort of
But I did like that this
entity.
one kind of follows like your bloodline as you go through time and everything.
This one gives you the feel of it because you are trying to take over territories and you see these vampires in there, and a lot of this stuff is referenced there with blood points and like trying to add people to your coteries and stuff like that. So that part of it is really fun. But the underlying portion of this is that it is a deck building game.
And something I didn't actually mention before, because I kind of wanted to quantify, we played around 300 and something games, like 320, 330. Yeah. We were close to doing a game a day. And it was about 58% new games. So it was like over 150 were new. So we're basing this out of 150-ish games that we played. Now, some will be disqualified because they might be older games. Yeah. But for the most part, we played new stuff. So this is almost all new stuff from this year. And I bring that up so you kind of have an idea of what our reference is, right? We've played 300-something-ish games, 150 of them-ish new. That's what we're basing this top 10 out of.
So let's see here. I really want to get Chapters, says Petter. Yes. I have so much faith in Chapters being just an amazing game. I cannot wait for it. Absolutely.
Well, hi, Doko.
So, Doctor?
Okay. So for mine, my number 8 is actually the Night Cage.
Oh!
So the Night Cage is, I know, you keep pointing at me because I'm so not used to being able to do this. The Night Cage is a tile laying game, but the crux of this game is I could care less about the tile laying game. It is you are trapped in this underground cavern. You wake up, you're cold, you're afraid, you don't know what's going on. You can't see anyone or anything. You know, all you can hear is other people talking to you from other parts of this cave. There's no up, there's no down. There's holes that you drop through and you fall and then you end up in a different part of it. You walk to where you feel like you're at the end and you end up right back where you started. It's like this time loop, just torturous, like cave that you're in that you can only crawl through, and you've got your little candle. As you're walking through with your little candle, you can only see so far ahead of you. And the way you play that out is you've actually got a tile that you flip out and you can only see one tile ahead. And then you flip out your other secondary tile if you open up another branch. And so you're doing it one by one, hoping that you don't run across one of these wax eater monsters. Yeah. Because if you do, they attack you, take you out, take out your light. Then you can only see where you're at. And your whole time, you're also trying to find keys and then get everybody all together has to get their own key. And then everybody has to get together on one doorway. And that's the only spot that's big enough for you all four to stand, because everywhere else is just passageways. You have to all open the door together to escape. And you have to do that before you run out of tiles, because that's your time. It's where your keys are at. It's where your gates are at. It's where the monsters are at. Everything's based on that stack of tiles. And you continuously flip them out as you go.
Poor Petter says, we're up to 3 I can blame you for.
Yeah. So it's really unique in that. And if you go into it, that sense of anticipation, it's there. right? If you look at it, you're like, oh, it's a tile laying game, like, you know, Carcassonne or something, or
Casserole.
Or casserole, then you're going to get probably kind of bored. But if you really think about it, like every tile you flip out is a potential monster, or when you get hit, you lose tiles. And so you're like, am I going to throw away the last key that we need? Like, did I just doom the mission because I got hit? So there's a lot of different things going on with it. And you never know, like, okay, I place this tile here. As long as this one doesn't flip out and become a monster, oh, great, it is a monster. Now it's looking at two of us. Like, there's a lot, and you're not next to each other. So you have to kind of go around and try to find your own kind of path all by yourself while also working together as a team.
Yeah.
And you always play with 4 characters, even if you only play it 2-player.
I had a lot of fun with this one as well. The anticipation on playing this game where the tile stack goes down and that's your life for the game, your candle wick for the cooperative portion of this, and seeing that go down as you're playing and everything is, well, again, it builds that intensity and it adds that thing that happens in the pit of your stomach whenever you're like, oh no, what's happening? No, you got hit. We have to discard tiles. And as you're discarding tiles, you're just watching. You're like, there goes a key. There goes a gate. Like,
it's like when they play
there's only so many. We're
like
so
when
close
they play the
losing.
Walking Dead intro music, right? And you just know things are going to go bad. It's like, just, you know, it's playing the music and you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. People are going to die. Right? Or when Game of Thrones would have one of those big pivotal moments and you're like, oh yeah, people are dying for sure.
Dale says, Petter, I'm lucky. Someone else owns this one in my group, so only 2 for me.
Petter's going to make a tile laying game called Casserole.
Oh, Battlecry hasn't gotten Night Cage to the table yet. Oh,
it's a lot of fun.
I'm
hey,
sorry.
Mepper. What's going on?
Hello, Mepper.
So it's a lot of fun. I think it really is all about the anticipation that you build into it, though.
Oh, absolutely. Because like you said, bottom line, it's a tiling game. So if you don't go into this with the fun of dimming the lights, turning on all your candles.
Yeah, because you have little candles that light up.
Every time you draw a tile, drawing them one at a time and flipping them over slowly, like building that.
See what you lost.
Yeah, like.
And just knowing you can fall through a pit.
It gives me chills,
sometimes the trail behind you just falls away and it becomes a pit, so you can't turn around. Like, you can't pass each other. There's a lot of really interesting things in it. But I think of it more as the experience of the dread and the anticipation, kind of like playing Jenga, right? Jenga is only exciting because when it gets close to falling over.
Oh, yeah, everybody's just waiting for it to fall.
If you go into it, that aspect, it'll be fun. If you go into the beginning of Jenga where you're just like, your turn, it's boring.
Yeah.
But when it gets tipping,
and you're like,
are we going to run out of tiles?
You're poking and you're trying to test every brick and you're like, you can't do that.
And you're counting it down. You're like, there's only 2 keys left in this stack of 10 and there's 3 monsters. And you're like, so am I going to discard a monster or am I going to discard a key? And if I discard a key, will there be another one left for us to get to? And who can keep eyes on the key so it doesn't fall? And all these different things you got to think of.
Working together to make sure some people stay in some places in order to keep gates open, to keep keys open, working together and doing that. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and Dale's right. It's like, oh, this tile will work great right here, except for getting you killed from that monster. Yeah, because it is. You think you got a perfect move for that first tile, and then like the next one you go to flip out, you're like, as long as this isn't a monster, and this is worse. It's a monster.
And no. Well, that happened.
So I feel like we've had some
Number
crossover.
7.
It's you.
Renature, everyone. Renature. So excited about this game. Doctor, not excited about this game at all.
No, Renature I disliked a lot the first time I played it, but I didn't understand fully the rules. The second time we played it, it was enjoyable because I won. But it is this is like what? Like kind of this is like another area.
It's an area control sort of game. Yeah,
where
absolutely.
you're trying to maximize the way you put your tiles down, your little domino style tiles down. They're double-sided. It's very strategic. This is a puzzle. It's a puzzle area control game, which is not my favorite style of game.
Beyond Dead's laughing at you. Enjoyable because I won.
Yeah, I'm just honest.
Games are more enjoyable if you win. That's just facts.
And I didn't mind playing it when we played it for the stream and everything. It was, and I don't remember if I won that one or not, but it's not the style of game I go to. It's definitely more the style of you and Game Boy Geek and stuff where you guys like this.
It is.
This is a puzzle. And oh my gosh, so many choices. It's a puzzle. And I'm like, yeah, it's a puzzle. And you're like, but so many choices. I'm like, it's a puzzle. Like, and you're like, but it's a puzzle. And you're so excited by that. And I just don't get that same enjoyment of the puzzle.
I think the big thing is that it is so cutthroat too. So like you're placing tiles down,
you're blocking the crap out of people.
You are, because you have to match up.
We should just play sorry.
You have to match up the animals on the tile sides in order to place the tile down. And then as you're placing tiles, once you encompass something in a way. You can put down a tree, which is going to give you points for things. And you can put down trees to negate people's points in a way because there's like a player that isn't a player, you know, that helps you do that. And so you want to take over these territories by having trees in there, but then also you're kind of manipulating.
Trees in there to negate other people's trees.
Yeah, you're trying to manipulate those dominoes in order for you to have your next turn. Because if you don't have a domino to play, that's like the worst place to be in this game.
You love playing games where you basically get to dictate my turn.
Yes.
Like by what you do, you kind of force me into a corner.
I want
to trap me in a corner and leave me there.
I want to trap the doctor into the corner, okay?
And just leave me there.
I want the doctor to have zero. I want to know your every play. I want you to be forced into it and where you're like, this is the only play that I have to play, and thank you, miss, for giving me that play.
Oh, gross. Oh, I hate it so much. Ugh. I just threw up in my mouth. Gross. I think that is how you like it.
It is, and that's very enjoyable for me.
I like playing more of like a card strategy game where I sit back and I go, oh, I know what she's going to play. She's going to try to build a monument. Boom! Countered. So, yeah, just different. I don't like blocking. Yeah. I like just trying to strive for my own best score. Not like like you do in a solo way, but I like just trying to kind of get like the best strategy or score or the most enjoyable engine going, where you do like kind of blocking people and negating people. So it's just a very different style of play where when we draft, you hate draft and you're like, oh, he'll probably want this card. Where I'm like,
I do.
Out of these cards, which one is going to be the most beneficial to me? And that's just a difference in how we play.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's why I'm better than you.
Petter says, Greg, I feel like this is your type of game. It is Greg's type of game.
So the problem is that like, because you, Game Boy Geek, and Greg all very much like these puzzles,
type of games.
Right, where they can be very abstract. It almost doesn't matter what it's about. Like,
even
does it matter if this is owls or this could be anything? This could be like
even
cheeseburgers.
It's the cutthroat sneakiness of it because like one person's always trying to like undermine the other person and their plans, and that creates an interesting battlefield whenever you're playing it. And this is like a cute little nature game.
And the problem for me is that these games are never necessarily bad. They're just right in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll play them, but I don't want to play. Like if you're like, hey, do you want to play this or this? I'll be like, maybe the other one.
Hello, Bobby Juno. Yes, long time no see. Hopefully we will be doing more stuff in the future here soon.
Hey, what's up, Nosferatu?
Hello, Nosferatu.
So it's interesting, though, that although we have a lot of games we both like, because you do like very thematic games also,
I do.
There are a lot of these more abstract ones that we don't agree on. Because you also like roll and writes a lot more than I do.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to notate. And for all of you at home as well, is like...
There's good players out there, and then there's people that like puzzles.
No. You're going to run into certain types of games that you just like. And I like abstract games, and I really enjoy playing those. And you just don't particularly like those types of games.
Which I like games with limited resources or...
Renature falls into the abstract category.
Engine building. Like deck building is engine building. Worker placement
you love
can be engine building.
I
do. I love games where like the stuff I do can make these big, powerful combo-y turns happen and stuff.
Absolutely. So
that's my favorite thing.
Your number 7.
Oh, actually, so this one is very surprising. This is a game that I flat out refused to play the first 3 times you brought it up.
What?
Rococo Deluxe Edition.
Yeah,
Rococo Deluxe.
It made it onto your list.
I was so resistant to this game, and this makes me sound like the biggest just loser, but it was a game about these French dressmakers with thread and silk, and you're just trying to like make these dresses for a fancy ball, and I couldn't figure out why I'd want to play it. And I told you, it could be like the most amazing game ever, but it just didn't seem like something that I'm excited about playing. Because why would I want to play as... And I know how to sew. I can sew. Yeah. I learned how to do that, a basic sewing job, more to sew things up than to make things nice. But I was just like, it doesn't... Theme is so important to me. I'm just like, I wouldn't... If you were to ask me, what do you want to do for your birthday? I wouldn't say like, oh, I want to learn how to sew. I'd be like, oh, I want to learn how to do this. Or I want to go on an adventure. Or I want to go camping. I wouldn't say, I want to sew. Right, or learn how to crochet or something like that. So the theme overall kind of detracted from me where I was like, I don't want to. But then when I played it was a very cutthroat worker placement game.
It was. And you enjoyed the heck out of this. Like, way more than I did. Like, I enjoyed the game, but you enjoyed it way more than I did.
I know I enjoyed taking all the gold tailors from you and you being like at the point of being angry.
I couldn't get like any of the gold tailors. And I was like, what the heck, doctor?
And I did it just to stop you too. It was great. It was so great. So this one... Rococo is a worker placement game. It's made by Eagle Griffin Games. This is the deluxe version. So the reason why it's on our list is because although it's an older game, it did get a new deluxe version with, like actual like little threads. Gorgeous. Right, like little spools of thread, and you've got a bunch of expansions to it and everything too. And yeah, it is essentially a game where you are trying to make dresses for all these nobles, and then you're trying to make sure your dress ends up on the right noble in the right place
and you
in
go
the
to the
castle.
right party, and you're like, oh, we're at a party.
Yeah, and so it seems like something that, you know, you wouldn't, not everybody, it's not going to be everybody's theme, but when I played it, I was actually like, yeah, this is a very solid game. It was fun to play. It was very cutthroat. It was very, every little move you made a very big difference, and you did get to build a little engine with your 5 little, I think it's like 5 little cards, because you get to kind of like draft them by taking actions to get them, and then you've got them, but then you got to make sure, like, when do you play them? Okay, I gotta play the silver one now, which will let me play like this bronze one now, which then I can play, you know, this gold one later, which is the most powerful one, but then like there's always a balance on it. Like it's the most powerful, but then it doesn't give you any bonuses, or it's the weakest, but it gives you the most bonuses. So there's always kind of a, I've got 5 cards. How can I make this the best?
Oh, yeah.
How can I use these the most efficiently?
Yeah, the most efficiently is the good word.
That's what got me excited about it, was how do I use these cards? Which is like what Gloomhaven is. Like I've got 10 cards in my hand. How do I make a combo that's efficient so that I can defeat this monster and win?
So Razor Girl says, Patchwork has sewing theme and is possibly the best 2-player game.
Patchwork is good. Patchwork's a good game.
Razor Girl, I love you so much. I love Patchwork
Patchwork's
so
got that whole
much.
Tetris thing going on, the
So
polyomino. So
Patchwork is the best. I play it on my phone a bunch. I play it like, oh, so good. Just, yeah. But the theme, I think when I first got Patchwork, you were kind of also like, because we had also played like another quilt making game at the time.
It's the same thing though with Barrage, where it was like, oh, we're gonna be engineers, we're gonna build a dam, and I was like, okay, why?
Like, I don't want to.
But if you say something like Wasteland Express, you're like, okay, it's the end of the world, and your job is to deliver ammo, water, or food to all these different people while being running away from punks and going through radiated lands. I'm like, okay, this sounds like fun.
I'm glad though that I've finally brought you over to the dark side, and where you can like play games like this, and you're like, you give more games like this a chance because you've played more of them that have been successful.
Well, in general, right, I tend to not like Euro games as much.
Yeah.
Right.
But so now you're like, maybe some of them Euro games are real good.
Well, some games are just good games. You do have to try them. Like, I liked Carpe Diem and stuff, and I wasn't, to be fair, Greg, when he wanted to show me Carpe Diem, he showed Alex and I, and it was him and his wife. Yeah. I didn't necessarily want to play it, but he kept talking about how great it was. So I was like, sure, let's play it. And I ended up winning on the tiebreaker with Alex. We beat both of those veterans. It was amazing. Like, and it was a good game. I ended up really enjoying it. But, you know, the look of it was not that exciting. You're like, okay, you're going to be putting down tiles. Yeah. It's Roman architecture. You hope to make the most bread that looks like a grapefruit. It's very, it doesn't appear to be exciting by theme or by looks.
Oh, the shame, says Greg. Barrage. Oh, damn. After the first play, that's right.
I did like Barrage.
And then you said, oh, damn, oh, the puns.
You okay?
I'm sorry. It's so good. Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. So, yeah, Rococo Deluxe. It was good. I would recommend it for someone to play. It was a good game.
All right, everyone. Number 6.
What is your number 6?
My number 6 is Whistle Mountain.
Okay. That makes sense.
Which I loved so freaking much.
That's a Luke Laurie game.
Again, I don't feel like this game got enough love, because I don't know why it got enough love, didn't get enough love, but like it was maybe because like they had, what is it, the whistle whatever thing, and then like this is like completely different from it, and maybe some people went from there to here, but
well, it's a Bezier game, right? So they do Werewolf is what they're most known for.
Well,
right?
and maybe that was the problem. Maybe that was the problem. But they also have
Suburbia and stuff too.
Because this game here, as you're going through and you're trying to build to encapsulate all of these like little they're like little buildings, little scaffolding things, and you're trying to use the abilities on those things. But you have to place your workers and all of your little airships in the right spots in order to make these things happen, while also building up, while also staying out of the water, because if your guys get trapped in the water, then they go into the water, and then they are swimming around in there, and they give you negative points, and then you got to get over to the side.
She taught me about that brutally on camera.
What?
About how you could drown my workers. That was on camera.
That's right, I completely
I didn't even realize how that works. I didn't realize how brutal that was until you drowned like 50 of my workers.
So many of your people.
It was bad.
It was bad. By the end of that, you were just like,
I'm like, okay, well, I lost.
Nope. Dale says, I'm very similar with not wanting to play Euro games, but I don't win when talked into playing. Doc wins. Yeah. You got to try them here and there. You got to try them here and there. public murder.
It was bad.
Yeah, if you do want to go back and see the playthrough of this game, just be prepared for the gruesome murder of Dr. Gloryhogg.
My people were dead. But this is designed by Luke Laurie and Scott Caputo,
yes.
I believe is how you say it.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're both pretty famous designers.
But this was so much fun. And as you're going through and you're trying to get these people as you go along with this, like, gosh, it was a really nice combination of the polyomino building and then having to get meeples in order to have actions, and then also trying to build up as high as you can in order to get the maximum amount of points from your stuff.
And once again, this is a game that I would play, but it's not one that if I had somebody coming over like Alex or Greg, I'd be like, you guys got to play Whistle Mountain. I would grab something else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I would play it if somebody suggested it. So that means it's right in the middle for me.
All right, Doctor.
All right, so for mine, my number 6 is, this is the only one I have on my list like this because it is not available yet. It's My Father's Work.
You can't do that.
I did.
I didn't put that on my thing
because of that? Oh.
Because it's 2022.
We don't really discuss stuff before we do a show.
We don't.
So I said it was anything we played, and we played it. Okay. So My Father's Work is a worker placement game, but it's set up over generations. And so you have tasks that you're trying to do, and it takes you, like say like an hour or so to play of collecting things and doing different things because you're a mad scientist, so you're collecting brains and Eye of Newt and digging up corpses and doing all these really cool things with all these really cool components and unlocking different story cues and having to make decisions. Do I want to ally with this person? Do I not want to ally with this person? And it's got a choose your own adventure style feel where the decisions you make change the next decision you can make and so on and so forth. And it branches, even just in the little story that we got to play. And then you do that, and then the generation ends, and then it's like your son takes over, or your daughter takes over, and then you keep kind of going with it. And so eventually you get to the point where like I got to become like a lycanthrope or something like that, and a time machine or something. I'm not sure if I did which one I played live, but two really different objectives, and they were both really cool. And even though like I think I won one and you won one, it was still really exciting to go through it.
Oh yeah,
and just watching that kind of time evolve, and it felt like you were playing a legacy game in like a 2 to 3 hour block instead of a multiple weekends type of situation.
Hello, Kabuki. Thanks for hanging out with us today. So, hello, Studio Lanniston.
Siesta is still on track for February. And this is the only one that I put on my list that was something that we played that isn't available yet. Everything else has been delivered at this point, I believe.
So far, I haven't played any of the games. We'll have to see if any of your top 5s that you like. Okay, so...
Hope so, Mepper. Hope so.
With this one here, I think that this is a perfect game for anybody who is hardcore worker placement that is interested in getting into the Ameritrash genre.
And that branching narrative story, too.
Yes. Well, yeah, just the Ameritrash in general, because you have heavy theme, heavy storytelling, like...
Right.
There's a lot more of that stuff going on, because...
I kept just want to go, from Bueller!
Right. The root of this game is just a worker placement game, because all you're really doing...
Yeah.
Is putting your little workers around the board, and you do have limits to what workers you're putting on the board.
It is like Rococo in that aspect, where like your square bases can only go some places, your round bases can go other places. So you have your spouse.
Items,
your spouse can go one place. Some people can only work in the castle. Some people can only work outside the castle.
To get things in order to go ahead and further your own story.
And your story is sweet, though.
Yeah, this is such a fun way to put those two things together.
Stitching together like creatures, and all of a sudden that leads up to...
Ameritrash.
Yeah, that leads up to chemistry, and the next thing you use like your animal stitching and like your chemistry to become a werewolf.
And I'm really excited about the story because we only got to play the demo portion of this story.
But even then, when we played it twice, and we still got 2 different paths, and there's 3 big story chunks in there too.
That's the thing. I'm interested to see more of the story because we only saw this tiny, tiny little portion because we played the very first intro-y sort of thing a couple of times here, and then like I want to see the rest of it. Razor Girl says, you have a very different definition of Ameritrash than me. Ooh, okay.
Hello, Paul.
Razor Girl, what's your definition of that? So Petter says, I think Werewolf was the live stream, I think. Okay, let's see here.
Probably, because I mean, if I had the option to play as a werewolf on camera, I would do it. 100%.
Nosferatu says, Ameritrash plus worker placement, that's the only way I do worker placement. See?
Oh, there you go. It was enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. It was a longer live stream we did. I think it was like 2.5 hours,
so much
3
fun,
hours.
Though. It went fast. Like,
I was sweating at the end of it because of just the heat of the room, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, obviously.
The production's going to be fantastic because the pre-production...
little bottles and...
The pre-production copy we received was gorgeous.
Little coffins for when you dig up people. I mean, because you're playing as Frankenstein, essentially.
The little bottles.
It's got game trays in it, too.
The little bottles and stuff.
So it's going to have fancy business, which I haven't even gotten to see those yet because we just had the prototype. I don't get to see that
Somebody did a good job and took pictures for you here.
That's actually nice. I might go steal those. If you see posts about my father's work later today, that is wrong.
All right, next up. Which one was this one? That was number 6, right?
Yeah.
Number 5.
We're halfway done. This is our top 5. Top 5.
Dwellings of Eldervale. Dun dun dun! This one here made it onto this year's list because last year we had not played it at the time.
5.
Number 5.
5th. 5th. Divorce. and in camera.
So much shame.
So Dwellings of Eldervale came out technically last year, but it delivered end of November, December-ish.
And we didn't get to play it until this year.
We didn't get ours until like December 18th or something.
Yeah.
So to be fair, there was no way we were going to play and have a good opinion on it for the last.
Because we wanted to have a good opinion.
But
like we wanted to have the time to play it.
I think off the top of my head, I think we played it 7 times this year. We played it.
The fog of divorce. Yeah, the fog of divorce is now happening. That's number 4.
We played it 7 times over 2021 though.
Yeah. This one, when I first played it.
Which is a lot, because most times we play games anywhere from 2 to 4 times. And so 7 times was like, we kept going back to it.
I was a little bit upset about the dice, and every once in a while I still get upset at the dice, but I feel like there's a lot of good mitigation that they added in here, and it grew on me really fast. It was like after the second play, I was like, no, I think I like this game. The third play, I was like, no, I like this game. And then like every consecutive play after that, it's like, okay, now how do I maximize this game?
So this is the love child of Luke Laurie and Peter Vaughn. So you've got Luke Laurie's design, which
we just talked about with Whistle Mountain.
That we really enjoyed, which I thought was a good game. And then Peter Vaughn's like attention to detail with the production value and everything. And it is a game trays project, but aside from that, this is something that I backed personally with my own money, with our money. It's this big, expansive, like engine, somewhat deck building, but mostly engine, like tableau building area control game where you're flipping out tiles, you're fighting each other, you're using your workers as a resource to become a village to kind of settle. There's all these different elemental tracks you're trying to go down. There's these doors that are adventures that you go on. There's magic spells you're trying to do. There's quests you're trying to do with your cards. There's monsters to fight. There's like, 4 or 5 different monsters you fight with. And you can get them with sound bases and all this other kind of stuff. But I have played this game with the base version. Then I got some of the materials through Peter, which got me up to the deluxe. And then I got the rest of them from Peter, later on, like a year later, with all of the super legendary stuff. And I will say, and then we bought extra stuff. Like we bought the Meeple Source
I know we did,
and
they look amazing.
Everything. This game is my most upgraded game that we got last year, but we just kept buying upgrades for it. Yeah. I love everything about this game. It is a great game.
I'm doing a bad job of showing this game off.
There we go. It's a lot of fun. It is and it is a worker placement, but it is thematic and every single tribe plays differently. So if you're playing blue and it's water, you're playing as pirates or Atlanteans. The Atlanteans get bonuses for buildings. Pirates might get bonuses for attacking. You've got a wizard that can kind of move anywhere. You've got, I was playing elves one time, and the elves got to like shoot from an adjacent tile, which was really cool. So I felt like I had a bunch of Lego. This is just firing. And then I had a wandering wizard that could just wander around and move from tile to tile. And I felt like I had Gandalf just walking around Middle Earth, hanging out, being over by a dragon, like, what's up? It was just so much fun.
Here's the thing. I really liked the fact I really liked the mechanic where you are gaining workers. You're trying to get workers in order to have more actions throughout the game. However, in order to get points, you do want to make dwellings. You want to make dwellings in the right spots. But in order to make a dwelling, you have to convert one of your workers into a dwelling. So throughout the game, you are trying to find a balance of obtaining the right type of workers and amount of workers in order to battle on the board, while also maintaining the balance of getting workers in for placement and being able to produce the dwellings in order to score points. So like that triangle of just the workers that you're trying to place and creating that balance there became such an interesting triangle to manage as you're playing. And that triangle changes. There's not like a one way to play it. it changes based off of what other people are doing in the game.
Right.
And I thought that was an incredibly interesting thing for the game. And I didn't get that right away whenever I was playing.
It's very much, once again, if you see the theme, it's a game where there's balances, where what you're trying to do can change with your opponents. And you can't be perfect in everything in this game. It is 100% not a Settlers game, because there's no just dice that you roll to get resources.
Yeah.
You work hard for every resource, and then you have to plan each resource specifically. It's one of the games we have that you have to do a lot of planning with what you're going to do with every single resource and every single worker, because not only do you get that typical worker placement turn when you go out here and you might collect resources, you get the one big turn where you regroup, and when you bring them back, you get to activate the cards on your tableau. So you can take worker, put on this card on this tableau, and build another worker. Or you can bring it over here and dwell. But to do that, you must have left a worker out on the table to dwell with.
Right.
And it's got to be uncontested.
Yeah.
And then you've got to, like, when you bring back this worker, you might gain some more resources, which you might use for another action you take later. And that's just your bring back turn. That's your bring back turn. That's usually your boring turn where you're just like, get my turn, your turn. No, that's your bring back turn is your biggest turn of the game, which I love. Love that.
Yeah, because you get to do big things, not just dice do. So Grazer Girl says there's some poor OSHA standards if you have to kill a worker every time you build.
To be fair,
they're not passing any sort of OSHA standards.
You should hear about Ankh then. You should hear how they make the temples in Ankh. You lose 3 workers every time you build a temple. So I'm just going to say, better than it was in ancient Egypt.
This one here grew on me. The only reason why I think this one wasn't higher on my list is because this is a game I'm probably not going to teach everybody.
That's fair, because the analysis paralysis gets very real. And you can't have, like, the unfair thing is, like, since I have played it like 7 times, when I teach it to somebody, it's really hard for me not to, like, sometimes almost double their score.
Yeah.
Even though you're explaining to them, there's enough going on that you definitely don't get it the first game. You don't catch it your 100%. First game. It's not as bad as something like, say, like a Twilight Imperium or something like that. Yeah. But you're definitely going to do much better your second time playing it. Because every time I play with somebody more than once, that second time it's like, okay, now it's tight. That first game, though, they're just like, wait, what? And you're like, well, okay, I'm going to get points based off of how many red dwellings I have and how far I am up that elemental track, and then how many red cards I've built in my tableau. And I'm going to get points for these different objectives that I completed, which also go off of red. And you can do some really big engines if you play it right.
Yep, absolutely.
So, it's a good game. That's my turn?
Yeah, that was my game we were talking about.
That was your game,
That was mine.
Awkward.
That was my number 5.
Awkward. All right, so my number 5 is actually Cryo.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh, we're going to hit all of them today.
Cryo is Luke Laurie's other
Apparently,
game.
we were just in love with Luke Laurie this last year.
This was the year of Luke Laurie. So Cryo is set on a planet where you crash on a planet. There was some sabotage. So your whole ship crashed on a planet. And it's your job to use all your little droids to bring your people into the caves before the top of the planet freezes.
Right.
That's essentially what it is. What this game has is there's a lot of, it is still a worker placement game, and it does still have that big mechanic of when you bring back, you get to do it, you get to trigger a bunch of different effects, which I really love. Obviously, it's like a newer thing that I haven't played a bunch of, but I really loved it, and so obviously Luke Laurie likes it.
Oh, yeah.
And does it. It shares a lot of elements with Dwellings.
It does.
But it is a faster game.
It is.
And it's much more resource tight because you can't just buy extra workers.
No.
You get 4 drones, you get 4 drones. Yeah. That's it. You can't buy extra ones. And in Dwellings, when you bring back, you get something from like every single person, basically. It's hard not to get something.
Yeah.
With this one, when you bring back, you're usually spending a resource to get something else. So
yeah,
it's definitely a tighter race. I like the theme of it, though, because it was in space. I like the idea that you're on this planet that freezes every night, and you got to get everybody off before the sun goes down to get them in the caves. There's some kind of area control going on in the caves where you've got to have the area control inside of those. You're not building any permanent structures, but you are doing an area control inside all these different little caves. Underneath is what she's showing you right there. Mm-hmm. And you've got these really cool drone pieces. It's not as produced. It's made by Z-Man. It's not made by, Breaking Games or Peter Vaughn with Cardboard Alchemy. So it doesn't have as many pieces, but it's
still pretty.
It felt like it was a really fun game that I would just want to play more. And this is one that I would almost feel like it's easier to explain to somebody than Dwellings.
If I was going to teach somebody Dwellings and I had the time, I would let them play Cryo first, and then the next time teach them Dwellings, because
some of the symbology
it does have some
kind of
similar
the same
things to it. Yeah, with things coming back.
This does have some cool aspects, though. Like whenever you place your worker down, you can pick something from like the left, right, or above you. And you've also got these multi-use cards, which I know Greg is a huge fan of, where your card can either be like a vehicle that can help you get people down to the bottom, or you can just discard it for resources, or you can use it as an upgrade, which might upgrade some of your actions that you're taking. So it's got like 3 or 4 uses on every single card.
This one can be a little bit more cutthroat though, because down here,
it's a lot tougher.
Can be an area control bit down here where you start placing like your little barrels here, your little things to get the points at the end of the game for this here. And then the other thing is as your engine building in this game here, you don't actually complete your engine, which is interesting because there's only so much time to put so many tiles and conversions in here and stuff.
Right,
you don't fill up this board.
Right, you can only do like 4 of them.
You don't fill up the board.
And those are your resource trackers down there.
So you actually have to make really hard choices
if
with
your resources,
what am I going to be doing with this?
To give you an idea, there's 4 different types of resources and you can max out at 4.
Yeah.
So you can understand each resource is very important. Where in dwellings is almost more, you can collect up to like 5 or 6 of like 6 different resources. It feels like you've got resources you could store. With this one, you are pretty much going to 0 a lot on your board. You're just running out of a resource.
The only thing I didn't like about this one was the fact that I felt like I wanted more
time
cards.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I thought you felt like it ended quicker than you wanted because you wanted more time to build
of these here. So you use these cards in your hand for lots of different things. One of them can be down here where you can get like special
like a spider
things
crawler.
that you can do, or up here where you can get like special buffs up at the top here. And you're using the duality of these cards, but I feel like there's not enough. Well, yeah, tripality.
There's at least 3
resources
things you can do with them, if not 4.
I feel like there's not enough variance in them. That's the only thing. Like, I just wish they would like
because there are some duplicates.
Do an expansion card pack. Like that's all I really want is like an expansion card pack, so they don't have as many duplicates on that.
I do think this one you could probably figure out faster than something like a dwellings.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's why I would teach it first.
Since there's not like 12 different groups that you can go down or whatever dwellings has, this one you could probably kind of figure out the strategy you like a lot faster, but it is very tight. And if somebody goes in the right spot here, it can really just shut down your whole plan for your turn potentially.
Kabuki Kid really likes the trays in dwellings, saying that maybe they're most useful player trays I've seen yet, and I agree because you pull those trays out, you set them in front of somebody, and then they open it up and they're ready to play pretty much.
Suppose that's how the trays are for Eclipse.
And I love that.
Where it's just like, here you go, start sliding out trays and they're good to go.
With such a big game as dwellings, any little tiny bit you can have to make the setup faster just makes it that much easier to get to the table.
So it's funny that I'm going to have 2 Luke Glory games and you're going to have 2 Luke Glory games, but not the same 2.
Not the same 2. Luke Glory, we love you, apparently.
Sponsored by. I wish. Yeah, this has been his year.
Oh,
Triple threat.
Next up.
What is your next game? Oh. Yeah, that one.
Car Wars. Let's see here. Where's the one though? Like, what is it called? 6th edition? Here we go.
There you go.
Boom.
Way down there.
Car Wars 6th edition, everyone.
Okay, so this is one I haven't played.
Sadly, this is one the doctor has not played, so I'm hoping that you will love this game as much as I do. But man, I got it in. I opened it up. Cannot wait. I wish they would have not made the cars as big as they did because they changed the like how big everything was.
Okay.
It was a little bit smaller, but I still love this game so much.
But you have played this one because you played this at Steve Jackson's NordCon when you were doing stuff with them.
several times as I was doing stuff with Steve Jackson games. I played this at conventions, played it at NordCon, like taught the game, introduced the game, all sorts of stuff. Okay. So with this game here, it's a Mad Max style game where you are outfitting your card. If you've ever played X-Wing before, it's going to be a lot like an X-Wing-esque sort of game. You go ahead and build up your vehicle and the sort of equipment that you have here, except it is easier to play than X-Wing because you're not controlling a fleet of vehicles. You're controlling one vehicle at which you have to live by or die by and try to murderize the other person on the board with said gunfire, with gunners hanging out the window, flamethrowers, missiles, rockets, explosions, crashes. It's amazing. Like, so much fun. And the 6th edition is so insanely streamlined. I love the fact that they made the actual board that you're keeping track of your speed and everything look like
kind of like a steering wheel or something?
Yeah, it looks like a steering wheel and stuff on the game. Maybe I'll be able to see it. Here we go. It looks like a steering wheel for the game here. And you have like little things that cover and you just move them around. And so you keep track of your speed and it'll tell you, oh, you take, this many damage or tire damage or whatnot if you're this low on this and stuff. And so it tracks a lot of other stuff for you here, which I really enjoy. It makes, like I said, more streamlined for people and get them into playing the game because...
You've told me many times this is a game that I must like.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's
you
decided.
Must like...
It's probably my number 4 or whatever also.
I feel like if you like X-Wing, Attack Wing, these sort of games, miniature style games...
Miniature skirmish?
a perfect place to start because I cannot tell you how much nicer it is to show somebody how to play with one miniature on a board and get them used to the idea of using like these range rulers and the way the dice works and the way the cards work and stuff, and then introducing them to something else that has more items for them to work with. I feel like this is going to be a perfect introduction game to that particular genre of game, of miniature games.
Everybody can understand cars.
Everybody loves. Who does not want to
rocket launch the car next to them when they're driving?
And with some road rage, you know, you take your road rage out on the other person, okay? Game trays are nice for holding up bits. Yeah, actually, 10 of them help. Yeah, I enjoy game trays a lot for holding all the little bits and stuff, and it's perfect for a game like this for sure. Car Wars 6th edition. I've been waiting for this since way back when Ogre Designer Edition was on Kickstarter. It was a long time ago, right?
So Nas says this or Gaslands?
Okay, so this or Gaslands? That's a good question because I have not actually played Gaslands. So I'm sad that I haven't played it. I've heard that this borrows a lot of, not mechanics, but it borrows a lot of what they're trying to do in the game.
Which one came out first, though?
Gaslands came out first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then, well, no. Okay, so Car Wars came out first, back in the day, with more of like, almost like a role-playing style mechanicness to
like
it.
Your drivers
like a D&D 3E edition where you got to get out a book and you got to get out, like, you know, pen and paper and start writing stuff down. And so, like, in order to make a turn or crash into somebody, you had to do some math, you know?
Gotcha. Like THACO back in the day.
Right. So, like, that's how it started. Then Gaslands came in, and I think they streamlined it more. And now Car Wars is coming in with this 6th edition, and it is, of course, more streamlined than their previous games
6th edition is no joke, though.
Yeah. No, 6th edition looks fantastic. And I just feel like they did a really good job.
People must have liked it if they're coming back.
Right. And I feel like, and what they also did with this game.
Even The Matrix only got 4 movies.
What they also did with this game, which I thought was cool, and the reason why they scaled this up was so you could take Hot Wheels cars and play with them if you wanted. So That's you can literally just put a Hot Wheels car on. They send extra bases and stuff, and you can play with like whatever Hot Wheels car you want.
Oh, this is your picture.
It is my picture.
Oh, so fancy, so fancy.
Let's hear.
Very nice.
Could you probably get both and use the minis from cart? I am not for sure on that. I know there was some talk about that, but I'm not for sure. All right, Doctor, what do you got?
Lost Ruins of Arnok.
Oh.
That is it's interesting because it's kind of like a deck building game, but it's not. It's kind of like a worker placement, but it's not. It's kind of like it's melded together. It's very much an exploration game where you're trying to, think about Indiana Jones. You're going through and you're trying to like fight monsters, temples, collect things like cars, whips, planes, all kinds of different ways to get around. It's a nice little puzzle where you only have like, I believe it's 2 workers. And so you don't really have like a lot of workers you can place, but they're kind of like Everdell. There's a lot of things you can do that are like free actions basically to spend your turns.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can do a bunch of different things before you even use your actual workers. And
your actions are so limited,
so
you know?
You almost like part of the mini game is just how do I best use these actions that I have in front of me? What can I do without using my workers?
I'm like trying to get a picture of the board.
Like
who took a picture of the board?
Like a close-up picture of it. So I found both like not only the theme really interesting, but I really enjoyed going through it. We played it a few times when we first got it, just back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
It makes sense that it made it so far on my list because I'm ready to get back to it again. They've got an expansion coming out that's going to give some asymmetrical powers.
Ooh.
And some additional things that you can do. It's called, I think, like Leaders and Allies or something like that. That as the expansion. So it was a game that I just really enjoyed. I like deck building, and then you got to explore. And I liked the theme of going through the jungle and fighting these weird like snake monsters and different things like that.
Yeah, I wish they really had really good pictures of the board because the board is where it's all at, okay? And then like people have done amazing things with washing the tiles so they look all old looking.
Right, because you have to collect like yellow
tablets. For the like little ruined
and
tablets and stuff, yeah.
Because there's this whole other little board on the side that you're trying to also kind of rule over, basically.
Like that's what I'm trying to look for. So hopefully like I can find a picture, but maybe not.
The bits and stuff. But it's got a good production value for it, for what it is. It's not a very expensive game, but it was a lot of fun getting to explore and feel like you were an Indiana Jones style character kind of going through and trying to
I liked the fact
uncover artifacts
that you are trying to do two different things here on the board. You know, like you're trying to go on this left-hand side of the board and visit all these places and get stuff. But the whole reason why you're trying to do that is trying to advance up this track here, because you have to get certain things to like unlock all these little pathways as you go up. And the further you go up, like the more points that you're going to have in this game. And I thought that was so much fun trying to balance both of them while also trying to figure out your little cards that you're working with as you're going. So you're trying to get things off the top. Like, it comes down to, this is not just a worker placement game where you're placing a worker and getting something and then paying for something. Yeah, no, you're doing so many other things in this game. And I thought that was so much fun with this particular game here.
I agree. That's why I put it on my list.
We need to play this game.
Right, I know. And I'm excited about that kind of asymmetrical starting powers that you can get with the expansion and everything. So when the expansion came out, it brought it up to my mind again of like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to play to this one again.
Let's hear this. Quickie Kid says, Arnark is a great one. I can't wait to get the expansion. That would be fantastic. I can't wait for that as well.
Petter says he still needs to play it, but he's excited about the expansion also.
Dale was saying, I was hoping someone else in my group would get this. I guess they're all waiting on me.
Ooh, sorry, Dale. Sometimes it's got to be you.
Sometimes you have to make the leap.
Sometimes.
All right, let's see here. What number are we on? We're on number 3.
Oh, yeah, we are on the top 3. So far, I think I have still all new stuff, so.
Do I not know how to spell this? Mind?
Oh, it's MGT. MGMT.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, it's not.
Mind Management.
Okay.
The Psychic Espionage game. This game here is something you would look at and be like, what the heck is this mess?
There's a lot of surreal like imagery going on with like parrots and like
there's a reason it's there.
And maybe like, I don't know, like a clown, and you're like, what is happening?
There's a reason it's there because of the theme of the game, which I understand, but it is not something I would walk by and go, oh, I want to play that. I would walk by and go, what the heck is that? And probably pass by. But when playing this game is so much fun. So this is like a one versus many game, and you are one person roaming around the board as the bad guy, sending out different people in different directions in the, I guess, like higher game. I didn't get to play the higher portion of the game where you're sending out different agents
you play, like,
for
the
stuff.
First, like couple.
Yeah.
But the idea is it's a mind management thing, right? So that they're trying to capture you.
Yeah, and you're hidden. It's a hidden movement game, everyone. Right. Okay, so the person who is the bad guy is doing their hidden movements across the board, while everybody else is trying to figure out where they're at and like pin them down. And then in this game here, but each individual square that you have on the board has different icons on there. And so you're trying to figure this out through the iconography on the board and where they've been to and where they're going.
So it's a logic puzzle too.
It is a logic puzzle. It is.
Which she does like logic puzzles. I can attest to this.
I had so much fun.
I have never in my life seen somebody sitting in bed at midnight doing logic puzzles out of a little book.
It's so much fun. Everything is set up with little dry erase markers and stuff. So as you're going through and you're marking down where people are at, you mark down, okay, I think on this marker here that they were in this area 1 to 2 turns ago and stuff. And so you write that down on there and you put it on the board. So you can see as they're tracking you across the board, and that is just so much fun to watch. And for them to be like, okay, well, you know, they said they were by a sign or by a coffee cup or something. It could be this coffee cup or maybe that coffee cup over here. Okay, well, you go over there and I'll go over here. Yeah. And we'll try to separate. And then like you're trying to double back and stuff. And like the big thing with being the bad guy player in this here is you have to like snake this. You can't double track over your own stuff. So you have to plan your movements and where you're going and what you're trying to collect, like what icons and stuff like that is you're trying to collect throughout the game and avoid everybody while everybody else is trying to pin you down. It is so much stinking fun to play. Freaking love it. It was so much fun.
It's a style of game that, it was interesting. It's a style of game that's not my favorite genre, though.
And that
makes it tough.
That's the sad part is that
I feel like we had different 2021s.
Does
like you were playing, I don't know what you were playing, but I was playing different games, I feel like.
Well, we played the games together.
And Razor Girl is right. I mean, if your favorite mechanics are engine building, resource management, worker placement, this top, 10/20, it's getting pretty expensive. Yeah, To be fair, none of these games are cheap, and most of them are Kickstarters and stuff, so everyone's budget's going to be different. But what I would recommend is if any of these sound interesting to you, just off of what we're saying about them, do your research and see.
Yeah, watch
maybe
some
try one of them.
playthroughs. Watch some playthroughs. See what's going on with them. See what fits you the best.
We have playthroughs of a lot of these.
And
not this one, but a lot of them.
Though we like a lot of the same games, our taste in games is slightly different.
Right. So we all have crossovers, but a lot of times I don't think we've had a ton of crossovers yet.
We haven't had a ton of crossovers yet, yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe you should move out.
What?
Take your games with you. But see, the problem is that we would still fight over some of the same games.
Well, yeah, some of the same ones.
Like, we would still be fighting over dwellings. We'd still be fighting over stuff. So, that's fair.
All right, Doctor.
We have enough crossover.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Destinies. Destinies, the app-based game, felt like I was playing a bunch of Skyrim mini quests, a bunch of side quests where I'm running around and you hear a noise over here, and you're like, oh, okay, go ahead. And they're like, the forest doesn't want you.
Where did they go?
Back off. And you're like, okay, I will leave the forest. And over here, oh, there's a fat drunk monk stuck in the snow. Do you pull him out or do you take his money? And you're like, well, I'll pull him out, then take his money. It is a game of, it's a narrative game, basically is what you're playing. And there's definitely dice rolling to see if you get successes or not. So it's almost like playing kind of like an RPG by Powered by the Apocalypse, where you roll like 2 dice to see if you succeed at what you're trying to do or not.
Yeah.
But it is a branching storyline where you're trying to do these different things. You're trying to find different things. You might be looking for silver. You might be looking for townspeople to help because they'll help you later on. You might be looking for tarot cards. You might be looking for feathers. You might be looking for all these different things. You might be trying to slay somebody. You might be trying to find cursed objects and bury them. There's all these different things that you can actually look for and find, all while she's doing a completely different set of objectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
That might cross over.
Absolutely.
And something she does might ruin it for me. If she ends up like killing somebody, I can't go to them and get a silver candlestick now. Or if she finds an item that I need, that she doesn't, she might just sell it to the blacksmith. And I'm like, no, I needed that. So it is very much an app-based game though. So when you're playing it, think of it as a board game hybrid where it is partially like a video game, partially like an actual board game, because although you've got tiles and you're moving around out on the map here, a lot of what you're getting, the storyline and everything else, is from the app itself. But I'm okay with that. I really enjoy that. I liked the integration. It felt a lot like Chronicles of Crime, made by the same company, of course, where the app was definitely very integral and needed, but it made it exciting and fun because you never knew what was going to change. And my father's work is also the same way, which we did not have the app, but there will be, or maybe we did have a basic app. I'm sorry, we did have a basic app, but it is the same way. The way they make it so all these choose your own adventure style things can happen is because it's in an app where the story can just be instantly changed. Yes. They don't have you flipping through a book a bunch and stuff.
Yeah. So Bobby Juno says, it turns out I enjoy these app-driven games more than I thought they would. Yeah. Oh, no, there's plenty of Young Frankenstein fans here, Kabuki Kid. We love
You didn't hear me say Fran Blucher earlier?
Lucky Duck is on fire right now. So
rolling the hay. This is one that I like. I think I was interested in it, and I think the idea is when we covered on our Kickstarter show, Greg said he was going to get it, and then COVID happened, and now Greg's dead to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he ended up getting it or not.
I don't know.
But it was like one of the last games I think we covered before COVID when Greg was still doing the show with us.
And
we were all excited about it, but Greg was like, yeah, I think I'm going to get this one. And then he did not.
He did not get it.
He did not get it.
Or if he did get it, he didn't tell us.
We borrowed Game Boy Geek's copy. We played through all the scenarios that came with it. And then we hit up Lucky Duck, and then we got in, when they restocked, we finally got in our own copy with the new scenarios, with the Sands scenarios, the Sands of
One
something.
of the most well-developed app integrations than anything else I've ever seen, says Nosferatu.
Greg's here. Feel shame, Greg. Shame.
Still haven't played it, says Greg. Well, geez, Greg.
So this game is good enough, Greg, that not only did Game Boy Geek let us play it, but as soon as we got done playing it, he's like, bring it to my party, because I want to show it to people.
Like,
and then he showed it to people.
Back.
Then we borrowed it again, played it some more, and then he wanted it back the next day. It was a, you can borrow this for 24 hours type of game. Where other games we've had like for months, and it's not a big deal. But this was one that he was like, I want it back tomorrow.
They did some really fantastic things with this game. One that you already covered was the app-driven portion of it, where you are able to change the story literally as it's happening. If you steal something, the game remembers that.
A witch!
The game remembers that, and then you will get penalized or get good things for whatever you stole throughout the entirety of the rest of that game. I should have had somebody say, you're not pure of heart!
And I was like, oh no, I did steal.
I really liked this board right here where you keep track of your abilities that you have, like your wits, your strength, and your dexterity. I thought this was an incredibly simple system to understand and to upgrade your abilities. And it's so easy to teach because you basically move these dots along this track here.
That's
and
how
then
easy your successes are going to be.
Exactly. Those are how easy your successes are going to be. So if you have a dot on a 3 and a 4, you have to have 2 successes in order to get there. Or I'm sorry, not 2 successes. You have to get 3 to 4 successes to get 2. Does that make sense? Me explaining it is bad.
No, so you'll roll a die, and if you get, say, like a 5 on the die, and you've got a 2 and a 3 as your attributes,
and that's 2 successes.
It'll count as 2 successes.
It's basically whatever your die goes to.
You never know. When you put that into the app, so you don't know if 2 successes is bare minimum to get what you want, if it's going to give you bonus stuff, or if it's going to be a fail.
The successes, though, are so easy to do than just like, okay, you have to hit this, and then you have to add that, and then...
It's not like a hidden 8.
It's not...
It's like, how many successes did you get?
It made it really incredibly easy. Like, they just made it make sense.
This game, I don't even think... Did you read how to play this one? Or was it like Chronicles of Crime where it was pretty much like it just put it out?
I read how to play it, but you don't really need to.
Because I don't think you told me very much. You were just like, you're going to roll a die and then use your attributes, and then you had my character set up, and we just started playing it immediately.
It's another one of those ones where you just like set it up and you're like, all right, well, it's set up. And then you open up the app and the game pretty much starts you up.
And we played with our 10-year-old once, and they were able to play it by themselves the next 2 scenarios solo the next day. In the morning, before we even woke up, they were already playing it.
Yeah. So
didn't even need our help, just going.
For a future space version of Destinies. That would be amazing.
It was very easy to learn. It was very fun. It is also, though, it is a narrative game. So if you like those narrative style games, like My Father's Work, Destinies, these kind of legacy style games, that's kind of what this is. This is not legacy, though, but you definitely go through scenarios. And I felt touches of the past as I went forward in each scenario.
Petter says, I'm super excited for the Lucky Duck and Van Ryder game collaboration this year. Absolutely.
And this, you can see this. We played this on Extra Credits.
Oh, absolutely.
Twitch. We played this on Game Boy Geeks, YouTube. So we played this. So you can find copies of people playing it.
The only thing I would say about this game, and this really just has to do with me, is the fact that I remember...
So much.
So much.
Too much, people would say.
Too much.
When it comes to games. Not anniversaries, not birthdays.
No, not dates. Not
but
that.
Where you can find the silver candlestick in a game?
Yep, oh, yeah. I know where that is. I know where that sucker is every time.
Every time.
So for me, this is a game that I can play through once, and then I'm going to have to wait quite a while in order to play this again. Or I'm going to have to pass this off for some other people to play or something, because...
Kind of like Time Stories
I will remember. Yeah, I will remember where things are. I just will.
We played through Time Stories, and then we waited like another year and a half or something. We played it again, but there were certain points where like, I know what's going to happen next. Right. And then there's other parts where you're like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. Mm-hmm. But it did take time in between before you could play it again.
Razor Girl says, purchases that I can blame for you: Flamecraft Canvas and Mantis Falls.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, we gotta hurry up with our last few because it's getting close to go time for us. Okay, number 2. Number 2. Oh. This one Petter's gonna know all about.
Oh gosh, so much.
Oh, Railroad. Hold on. Railroad
Inc. is her number 2.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Challenge. Do they have the big one on here? Oh, I want the big one though. All right. We'll talk about this particular one though. Okay. So I love Railroad Inc. They came out with this huge, gigantical box set of Challenge this year, and it has like
each one of those dice has different expansion rules.
Freaking dice. And you know why I put this at my number 2? Because this is like such a in-between game. I play this game like in between all sorts of things on my phone, like religiously sort of thing.
It's like Magic the Gathering for me. If we were to put how many times you played it on your phone on here, it would just be stupid numbers.
Yeah, it would be stupid numbers.
We would play 700 games a year probably.
I put this on my list so high up because I do play it all the time.
That's fair.
And that I just, like, it becomes a daily occurrence. And I'll even break out the big box and play on my own. Like, what?
Every time she poops, she plays.
No. Not like that.
So
I'm in there, like, drawing and stuff. I'm like, hold on.
On your phone. So if you're beating her, just know you're beating her while she's pooping.
What? Picturing being in there with the whole box. I'm like, that's not gonna work. What are you talking about? Yeah.
You bring a little lap desk out, roll the dice.
That's how you play, apparently, everyone.
If you did that, though, I mean, you take a while on this one because of the analysis paralysis, so you'd be in there for like an hour at a time every time. It's a lot.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That takes too long.
But this is very much kind of like Gone Clever, where with the app where you're just playing it again and again and again and again. I need help. So Railroad Ink is probably in like my top 5 like roll and write games, but it's a game genre that I just don't go to on my own.
It's my all-time favorite roll and write game, everybody.
Unless it's Fleet the Dice game.
No, it's my all-time favorite.
No, Fleet the Dice game is the only one I've shown to people.
No, this one is my all-time favorite roll and write game forever. And
more than welcome to.
Everyone just, more than welcome to. Like, I cannot help myself. It's addicting. I love it. It just, everything in my fiber of being loves this game because it's logic-y, it's mechanical. It's challenging. Like, now I can play it online. It has like a million different ways to play, so I can like never get bored ever. Like, I just love this game so stinking much.
And Not Sprout is a big fan of rolling nopes. That's fair. And Razor Girl says we need some title cards. The problem is that we don't discuss the list with each other. So if I gave her my list, then she would know.
We don't, yeah.
She would know. And yes, she does like cartographers a lot.
Yes, I do love cartographers. And if you love cartographers, you'll probably love this.
Are you ready for my number 2?
What's your number 2?
You want to guess?
Dwellings.
Ankh.
What?
Ankh.
No.
Ankh
number 2
is my number 2.
Come here, I'm going to slap you. I'm slapping you right now with my good hand.
Ankh is my number 2. Ankh, the first time we played Ankh, which is an area control game set in Egypt, it's Eric Lang's 3rd area control game. And in my opinion, his best. When we first played Ankh, I played it with her and I got so mad, I said I would never play the game with her again.
I forgot about that. You
remember how mad I got?
You were so upset.
Because I didn't understand how the boards work. So not only are you doing area control, right? Every god's got its own special power that is uniquely game-breaking. You're also, when you're battling, you're playing cards against each other, so it's a direct duel, and the cards counter each other very much in a rock, paper, scissors type fashion, but it's like 6 cards. So it's like these 3 kind of cancel each other, these 3 kind of cancel each other, and then these ones like cross over in different ways. So the cards are very good. The god powers are all very good. The area control is really good. There's a lot of different scenarios. We all have the same abilities as far as like Ankh powers, but how you unlock them are very different because there's 4 level 1s, 4 level 2s, 4 levels 3. So the combination you make is very uniquely yours. It's not always the same depending on which character you're playing. I play my Ankh powers very differently based off of the god I have. The surprising thing, though, is that it's just straight up an area control game, which I typically do not like.
Usually hate area control games.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Like, one of the most frustrating moments for me in something like a Dwellings of Eldervale is when you kick me out of somewhere where I was playing on Dwelling, and I'm like, no! Like, that's so frustrating. But for whatever reason, I can get behind this game. I really enjoy Ankh. I got rid of Rising Sun, and I got rid of Blood Rage.
Yep.
The only advantage Blood Rage has is drafting cards, but there is a nice tense moment when everybody has the same exact cards and there's no like big surprises. So all the surprises are within a limited set. You know what the options are. And so that can make it both fun and exciting because you know they can only do X amount of things, but you're trying to figure that out and decide if they're going to countermeasure you by doing something that they normally wouldn't do, playing a less optimal play to try to stop you. I've never had a war game like this where I've ended up losing because where I've won a region while trying to lose it because the other player played something so drastically different than what I expected that it messed up, and then I won something I didn't want to win.
And you won something you didn't know. You're like, oh my gosh.
I was like, I didn't want to win this. I wanted to lose. I would have gotten more points to lose. It is a very good area control game. Very good.
Yeah, this game, I'm just going to tell you right now, this game is my number 1. This is my number 1 for the year, everyone. I freaking love Ankh so much. I love Ankh because it's so easy to teach, yet it has such insane amounts of depth to it that you don't even realize. Like the first time you play this game, you're like, okay, I think I got this. And then the second time you play it,
I unlock Ankh powers, I summon more people like on the board, or I gain followers, which is your money.
After you get stomped, you're like, okay, hold on, I think I got this now. And then like you go on, you're like, hold on. Now we're gonna worry about moving these territories around. I think I got this now. And like every time you play it, I feel like you discover a new way to manipulate the game and manipulate the pieces, manipulate the people on the board and what they're playing, and trick people into thinking what you're playing in the game. Like,
and then there's this
vast.
There's this little thing that maybe you haven't heard of called the merge mechanic, where if you're playing multiplayer with more than 2 players, at some point in time, the bottom 2 players merge together, which is a whole nother little mini game in itself.
It is a whole nother mini game.
Trying to figure that out.
It is.
And
trying to figure out who's
merge.
going to merge with you and if you're going to merge or not, or maybe you can skip somebody and so everybody thinks you're going to merge and then like you jump somebody and then you just F everybody else in the game. Like,
and are you going to merge peacefully or are you guys going to battle it out?
Right.
Because there's been times where I've merged where I've like, hey, we're going to merge and we start working together like a round early. And there's been times where we've merged forcefully and it wasn't fun. And it was like, it really messed everybody up. But you still always have a chance to win. I've won as a merged god. I've won as a not merged god. I've lost as both. This is my second most played non-legacy game this year. It was probably Ankh.
Yeah.
I think Dwellings I'm at 9. I think I'm at 7 on this one.
I was going to say Dwellings and Ankh are probably...
And then like My City is more, but that's because it's
well, we don't count that because you have to play that so many times.
Right. And your games last 15 to 20 minutes.
It's like if you're playing Pandemic Legacy, do you count all the 1,500 plays that you did?
Well, I count all 15 of them, right? But then like, I don't count that as like my most played game necessarily because...
Because you have to play it a lot.
Kind of. Yeah.
If it's 7, so like if you have 7 plays out of this, that means you at least played it almost once a month, you know? Like almost 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
There's 12 months.
Oh, well, never mind.
We didn't get it on January though.
That's true.
But we played it a lot. I played every single god combination there is besides the new gods, which we just got in. It's good enough that we went and bought more gods.
That's the other thing too, is each god is so different and like that's a whole thing you unlock on your own as well.
Do you want to play
unlocking the gods and figuring out what's the best mechanics I can use to make this god the most powerful in these situations? And then how do I combat other people and the gods that they're playing based off of mine? And it was just so much fun. I had so much fun with this game, everyone.
All right.
I'm sorry. We just like went off on a huge tangent.
It's good. It's a really good game. We have a lot of videos discussing it, like the merge and discussing our kind of like our ideas on it.
Doctor, you got
I know, my last one.
5 minutes.
Dwellings of Eldervale.
Ah!
That's my number
Dwellings,
one.
There you go.
That's my number one. The game,
I thought you were going to be Ankh and then Dwellings on that. I thought you were going to be that way.
You thought it was
I thought it was going to be Ankh and then Dwellings. But yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, you thought Ankh was going to be my number one?
Yeah. I was hoping, but maybe that was just hopeful for me.
It's still my number 2, girl. It's okay. So, Dwellings of Eldervale, we've already discussed it, obviously, because it was your number 5. Yes. But I built my list based off games I really enjoyed, and then I was like, which ones would I love to get to the table again immediately and play? And then, like I said, I ranked them against each other. And so, out of all 10 games or all 11 games I mentioned, Dwellings would be the one I'd pick out of all of them.
So that was my big thing as well. As I was making my list through all the games that we've played, I picked out all my favorites. And then from there, I was like, well, if I was on this list, what is the very first one on this entire list that I just want to play right now? And I'd be like, okay, Ankh. And then it'd be like, what's the second one I would play right now? I'm like, obviously Railroad Inc. because like I play that all the time. I play it right now.
We have some crossover, but there's a lot of games that you need to go play with other people, apparently. All the games that she's like, I want to get to play really badly right now are all the games that you would normally play with like Game Boy Geek or something because they're all the deduction games and like the abstract area control games.
Sure. I just like deduction games. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out with us today. We really appreciate all of you showing up today and seeing all of your lovely faces out there because we miss all of you so much.
And I have just a real quick question for everybody. Yes. If you want to leave a comment on the video below. Who do you align more with when you looked at our list? Like whose list do you think is more your style?
That'll be interesting.
And then the other one is, if out of all these games that we named and played on our list, which one of them would be your favorite out of them?
Okay, absolutely.
So, if you want to leave that behind, it's always kind of interesting to see like what Petter thinks or what Razor Girl thinks or what Kabuki thinks or what their favorite game was out of the ones that we listed, of course.
Absolutely. And it's good seeing all of you. Like it was so much fun. It was so much fun hanging out with all of you today.
Definitely.
Other than that, we will see all of you later. I think maybe we can do like a poll.
We're shooting for Sunday.
Yeah, maybe we can do a poll for what game
that's what
we would
thinking.
like to play.
Yeah.
Because we've played some games, but not for all of you yet. So hopefully soon, okay? We'll see all of you later. Bye. Oh.